Salam sejahtera, anda sedang menyaksikan Niaga AWANI bersama saya Nina Rozman. Seperti biasa, jam ini kami akan bawakan pelbagai rangkuman berita niaga ekonomi termasuk untuk kita teliti lebih mendalam bagaimanakah prestasi pasaran tempatan singgah di peringkat antarabangsa. Namun menjelang pembentangan belanjawan 2026, banyak aspek ataupun sektor yang akan kita beri tumpuan dan bukan itu saja, kita akan meliti bagaimanakah antara isu-isu ataupun perkara penting yang perlu kita teliti setakat ini. Dan dalam episod kali ini kita nak beri fokus kepada tinjauan ataupun bagaimanakah masa depan perusahaan kecil dan sederhana di Malaysia untuk tahun ini dan juga 2026. Kita akan meliti dapatan kajian daripada Ipsos dan juga Samantha untuk melihat bagaimanakah hala tuju cabaran yang dihadapi oleh PMKS dan apakah antara masa depan yang ingin kita bentuk untuk setiap perniagaan di Malaysia setakat ini. Dan saya akan teruskan dengan dapatan utama menunjukkan keyakinan ataupun optimism PKS terhadap ekonomi setakat ini. 65% PKS iaitu percaya ekonomi Malaysia setakat ini berada dalam landasan yang betul dan 91% perniagaan ataupun PKS menjangkakan pendapatan mereka akan lebih stabil atau meningkat dalam tempoh 6 bulan yang akan datang. Dan ketika ini kita sudah pun sampai pada September 2025, kita di minggu terakhir pada bulan ini dan kita akan memasuki bulan Oktober. Dan pada bulan Oktober antara kita lihat momen-momen penting di mana akan ada pembentangan belanjawan 2026 oleh Perdana Menteri. Dan kita akan teruskan dengan laporan kajian ini menunjukkan antara cabaran yang dihadapi, antara cabaran utama menunjukkan PKS sedang menghadapi adalah mempunyai simpanan tunai kurang daripada 6 bulan. Dan kita lihat ia telah merangkumi sebenarnya 65% PKS yang telah mengalami masalah ini. Bukan itu saja, sebanyak 40% PKS menyatakan inflasi sebagai alasan, sebagai cabaran terbesar mereka, iaitu kos harga meningkat, kos operasi. Itu juga merupakan antara cabaran ataupun kekangan terhadap perkara-perkara yang PKS perlu hadapi setiap hari. Dan 33% PKS hadapi permintaan domestik yang agak lemah, di mana kalau kita lihat mereka kurang permintaan di peringkat domestik, di peringkat tempatan. Dan bukan itu saja, 26% juga antara cabaran utama yang dihadapi oleh PKS, mereka terkesan dengan tekanan pematuhan peraturan. Banyak sangat birokrasi yang perlu mereka hadapi untuk menjalankan perniagaan mereka dan itu juga merupakan antara cabaran utama yang dihadapi oleh PKS sehingga kini. Dan kita akan teruskan dan dengan butiran ataupun detail lebih lanjut melihat kepada tahap akses kewangan. Bagaimanakah kita lihat akses kewangan PKS terhadap untuk memastikan sumber ataupun profit perniagaan mereka terus terjamin. Kalau kita lihat di sini, 50% PKS di Malaysia mengatakan tahap akses kewangan mereka berada dalam keadaan neutral, iaitu 50-50. Tidak begitu susah dan tidak begitu senang untuk mereka dapatkan akses kewangan terhadap pembiayaan, dana perniagaan mereka. Kalau kita lihat di sini, hanya mengatakan 7% perniagaan ataupun kelompok PKS ini mengatakan mereka berasa sangat susah untuk mendapatkan akses kewangan. Tapi kita lihat segelintir 11 hingga 26% berkata PKS ataupun PMKS ini berkata mereka mempunyai limited terhadap akses kewangan, tapi mereka berkata tidak begitu susah sangat untuk mendapat pembiayaan ataupun pendanaan. Manakala kita lihat bagaimanakah sumber pembiayaan oleh PKS ini sendiri untuk 12 bulan lepas, dan kita lihat antara sumber utama PKS ini mendapatkan pembiayaan mereka, sumber mereka adalah daripada perolehan tertahan, iaitu retain earnings, banyak 36% antara yang tertinggi, dan kedua yang tertinggi sumber pendapatan mereka adalah daripada pinjaman bank komersial dengan merekodkan 21% PKS dalam golongan ini, dan 17% PKS mendapatkan pembiayaan mereka daripada sumbangan pemegang saham, diikuti juga dengan geran pinjaman kerajaan, dan 7% melibatkan angel investor, modal teroka, dan 6% adalah pembiayaan rakan setara P2P financing. Dan kita lihat perolehan tertahan ataupun retain earnings ataupun pinjaman bank adalah antara sumber utama untuk PKS mendapatkan pembiayaan ataupun dana ataupun akses kewangan kepada perniagaan mereka. Dan kalau kita lihat PKS di Malaysia, sehingga kini mempunyai kebergantungan yang sangat tinggi pada dana dalaman dan juga bank tradisional, menunjukkan strategi yang agak konservatif ketika ini tetapi menghadkan kepelbagaian pendapatan PKS setakat ini. Dan ini adalah tahap akses kewangan yang dapat kita saksikan oleh PKS Malaysia setakat ini. Seterusnya, bagaimanakah kesiapsiagaan digital PKS? Dan kita lihat satu dunia mengalami perkembangan pesat daripada segi teknologi, digital, AI, dan daripada segi readiness PKS itu sendiri, kita lihat sebanyak 29%, hampir mencecah 30% masih guna proses manual dan bukan digital. Mereka banyak guna mungkin menulis, catat nota ataupun dan kita lihat mereka tidak menggunakan ataupun teknologi sistem software untuk memudahkan iaitu operasi perniagaan mereka. Dan kita lihat sebanyak 27% kumpulan PKS ini hanya guna sensor elektronik dan 26% guna mesin dan sensor berhubung dan juga 17% guna sistem pintar, mesin dan juga perisian. Dan kita lihat antara 17% hingga 29% kebanyakannya kesiapsiagaan digital PKS ketika ini. Namun kita lihat tahap penggunaan digital ataupun teknologi atau automasi dalam kalangan PKS di Malaysia berada dalam agak rendah ketika ini, tapi ini mencerminkan banyak sebenarnya peluang yang boleh diambil oleh PKS di Malaysia ketika ini untuk mengadaptasi penggunaan teknologi dan AI bagi meningkat perniagaan mereka dan juga meneruskan produktiviti ke tahap yang lebih baik. Pada masa sama, untuk kita saksikan bagaimanakah lanskap peraturan dan pematuhan untuk PKS ini sendiri. Dan kalau kita lihat dengan adanya e-invoice baru ini dan peluasan cukai jualan dan perkhidmatan SST, ini juga merupakan antara dua komponen utama dalam operasi harian PKS itu sendiri. Kalau kita lihat daripada segi e-invoice, bagaimanakah impak e-invoice itu sendiri? Kita tahu e-invoice ini adalah bertujuan untuk memudahkan proses, kalau kita lihat proses kewangan PKS itu sendiri. Tapi daripada segi pendekatan e-invoice ini, apakah antara impak ataupun kesannya? Dan kita lihat hampir mencecah 60% berkata e-invoice ini hanya memberi gangguan yang agak minimum, tidak banyak. Dan 26% berkata PKS ini berkata e-invoice ini memberi gangguan yang sangat besar kepada perniagaan mereka, dan hanya 15% daripada PKS berkata mereka tidak perlu keluarkan satu invoice. Manakala kalau kita lihat peluasan cukai jualan dan perkhidmatan SST baru-baru ini hanya 50%, iaitu setengah daripada PKS di Malaysia hanya berkata gangguan minimum terhadap perniagaan mereka daripada SST ini. Manakala 34% daripada PKS berkata peluasan SST ini memberi gangguan besar terhadap perniagaan mereka, dan hanya 16% PKS berkata SST tidak terkesan terhadap perniagaan mereka. Dan ini adalah antara lanskap pematuhan PKS daripada segi e-invoice dan SST. Selain daripada itu, kita nak lihat juga impak dasar perdagangan dan kemasukan pelaburan asing, di mana ketika apa yang berlaku di peringkat antarabangsa ketika ini dengan tarikh baru oleh Amerika Syarikat Donald Trump. Dan kalau kita nak lihat daripada statistik di sini, responden oleh dapatan kajian oleh Sementa dan juga Ipsos melihat kepada pandangan dan sentimen peniaga-peniaga itu sendiri. Dan kalau kita lihat kebanyakannya 36% kos operasi dan pengeluaran meningkat disebabkan tarikh baru Amerika Syarikat, dan manakala 30% kata tiada kesan kerana mereka hanya bergantung kepada pasaran domestik. Manakala 24% kata tiada kesan kerana mereka tiada langsung produk ataupun perkhidmatan ataupun yang dieksport ke Amerika Syarikat, dan 10% berkata permintaan pelanggan menurun disebabkan tarikh baru Amerika Syarikat. Manakala kalau kita lihat bagaimanakah impak kemasukan syarikat Cina ke Malaysia, dan mereka kata kebanyakan syarikat Cina yang masuk ke Malaysia telah banyak membuka peluang baru kepada perniagaan baru timbul, dan ini sebanyak 40%. Dan manakala 28% kita lihat kerja subkontrak juga telah meningkat disebabkan kemasukan syarikat Cina di Malaysia. Namun 29% berkata tiada peluang kerana bergantung pada bekalan dari Cina, dan 29% lagi mereka banyak hilang pelanggan kerana pelanggan kepada syarikat-syarikat Cina ini. Namun 22% kehilangan bakat kerana syarikat Cina telah tawar gaji lebih tinggi. Ini adalah antara impak-impak ataupun kesan tarikh baru terutama Amerika Syarikat dan kemasukan syarikat Cina terhadap PKS di Malaysia setakat ini. Dan kalau kita lihat antara cabaran tinggi telah dikongsikan tadi adalah banyak dan antara tinggi adalah kos inflasi. Kos harga barang itu antara cabaran tertinggi, antara keutamaan PKS yang perlu mereka kendali ataupun hadapi antara cabaran ini. Dan banyak lagi sehinggalah ketegangan geopolitik juga menjadi antara cabaran utama PKS. Dan kalau kita lihat daripada analisis beban pematuhan PKS di sini ada perubahan. Kalau kita lihat kalau ada perubahan beban pematuhan, kebanyakan PKS kata daripada perubahan beban pematuhan ni hanya gangguan minimum sedikit saja. Sebanyak 54%. Lebih separuh daripada PKS Malaysia berkata mereka hanya mengalami gangguan minimum daripada segi peraturan ataupun kita lihat dasar polisi pematuhan. Tapi pelbagai sektor mengalami beban ataupun tahap kapasiti yang berlainan daripada segi pematuhan, operasi dan pelbagainya. Kalau kita lihat contoh daripada segi pembuatan, 27% daripada sektor pembuatan, PKS sektor pembuatan melaporkan ada peningkatan dan peningkatan daripada segi pematuhan ataupun peraturan dari segi operasi. Dan sektor runcit dan F&B, 42% PKS di sektor ini melaporkan peningkatan dan ia lebih kerana ia lebih terdedah kepada peraturan tempatan dan ESG. Kalau kita lihat sektor-sektor ini banyak kena beri fokus kepada ESG, so banyak peningkatan peraturan. Dan firma lama yang mempunyai tempoh lebih daripada 10 tahun umur perniagaan mereka hanya lapor 41 hingga 51% lapor peningkatan. Dan firma baru yang bawah 50 tahun umurnya hanya melaporkan sebanyak 21 hingga 33% ada perubahan daripada segi peraturan dan pematuhan. Dan kita lihat antara perubahan beban pematuhan ini kebanyakan yang dialami adalah syarikat-syarikat yang berada di Selangor dengan 51% yang hadapi peningkatan beban pematuhan dan kebanyakan juga di Kuala Lumpur hampir mencecah 60% yang menghadapi peningkatan terhadap beban pematuhan. Dan ini adalah antara perkara kalau kita lihat bagaimanakah hala tuju cabaran dan masa depan PKS setakat ini. Sudah tentu kita lihat tekanan kos menjadi antara cabaran ataupun kebimbangan utama PKS ini. Tapi kita nak melihat ke hadapan bagaimanakah belanjawan 2026 ini dapat menjadi harapan baru untuk semua PKS di Malaysia. Dengan itu saya mempersilakan tetamu yang sudah bersedia dalam talian untuk mengulas lebih lanjut mengenai perkara ini adalah Datuk William iaitu Presiden Persatuan Semental. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih Datuk kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami dan terima kasih juga menyediakan antara laporan dan dapatan kajian ini untuk kita memahami lebih mendalam lanskap PKS di Malaysia. Saya mulakan dulu dengan kos operasi dan inflasi. Datuk William, dengan inflasi yang masih menekankan kos operasi PKS termasuk sewa, tenaga kerja dan bahan mentah, bahan-bahan ini, apakah antara bentuk sokongan fiskal ataupun insentif yang Datuk harapkan akan terkandung dalam belanjawan 2026 ini untuk bantu PKS stabilkan lagi kos ini?
Ya, selamat pagi. Saya rasa cukup jelas bahawa tekanan kos dan pasaran yang lembap sekarang ini menjadi isu paling kritikal kepada ramai PKS. Jadi apa bentuk dasar fizikal dan insentif pasaran yang boleh saya rasa bantu? Pertama dari segi fiskal, saya rasa kita perlukan dasar yang memberi ruang nafas kepada PKS. Ini termasuklah insentif cukai. Kalau boleh kita tangguhkan cukai-cukai tertentu yang baru diumumkan awal tahun ini ataupun kita bagi moratorium cukai jualan kepada input kritikal kepada PKS dalam sektor-sektor tertentu yang terkesan. Kita juga boleh pertimbangkan kalau boleh potongan cukai berganda untuk pelaburan dalam otomasi kecil dan latihan pekerja untuk menyokong produktiviti di kalangan PKS kita. Keduanya pada saya dari segi pasaran, kita perlukan program yang boleh merangsang permintaan kerana seperti yang dilaporkan dalam tinjauan kami, permintaan domestik sekarang agak rendah. Jadi kerajaan jadi boleh memperkukuhkan dasar perolehan kerajaan dengan kuartal khas untuk PKS. Pada masa yang sama, saya rasa kempen untuk menggalakkan rakyat kita menyokong produk tempatan, saya rasa boleh juga membantu kalau kita boleh adakan kempen seperti yang untuk menyokong produk tempatan. Dan yang ketiga, saya rasa kita tidak boleh hanya bergantung kepada pasaran domestik. Dasar perdagangan serantau yang lebih agresif saya rasa diperlukan untuk membuka akses PKS kita kepada pasaran sedunia, terutamanya pasaran ASEAN. Jadi saya rasa jika PKS kita ada akses pasaran yang lebih luas, mereka tidak terlalu terdedah kepada kelembapan dalam negara. Jadi jawapannya saya rasa ialah kita perlukan satu kombinasi fiskal yang meringankan beban kos dan insentif pasaran yang meningkatkan permintaan dan juga saya rasa dasar perdagangan yang boleh membuka peluang baru kepada PKS kita.
Dan kalau kita lihat kepada beban pematuhan dan ketidakpastian dasar pula. PKS ini berdepan dengan pelbagai keperluan seperti pematuhan seperti SST, e-voice dan pelaporan ESG, dan kita lihat antara sektor yang paling terkesan terhadap beban pematuhan ini adalah antara F&B, pembuatan. Jadi dalam konteks ini, apakah langkah yang Datuk harap kerajaan akan umumkan dalam Belanjawan 2026 untuk kurangkan beban pematuhan dan tingkatkan lagi kejelasan sesuatu dasar itu?
Yes, betul. Walaupun saya rasa kita lihat dalam laporan kita, lebih separuh dari PKS kita, dia sudah mempunyai dasar atau amalan ESG. Tapi kita masih ada dua halangan terbesar. Itu satu, isu kos tambahan, dan keduanya kekurangan maklumat ataupun sumber untuk kita mematuhi ESG dan invoice dan sebagainya. Jadi walaupun ada kesedaran, ramai PKS kita masih melihat ESG ini sebagai satu beban dan bukan satu peluang kerana kekurangan maklumat dan sumber yang saya katakan tadi. Jadi bagaimana kita boleh ubah perspektif ini? Pertama, saya rasa kerajaan boleh jadikan ESG ini lebih menarik dengan menyediakan insentif cukai atau rebate untuk syarikat yang mencapai tahap ESG tertentu. Kedua, saya rasa kalau kita boleh bagikan grant kos perkongsian, matching grant ataupun skim pinjaman dengan kaedah faedah rendah, khusus untuk projek ESG yang dapat membantu mengurangkan kos kepada PKS yang mahu menerap proses ESG ini. Selain itu, saya rasa kita perlukan sokongan maklumat dan bimbingan. Ramai PKS sebenarnya dia masih tidak tahu bagaimana untuk mula melaksanakan ESG dan standard mana yang patut dipatuhi. Jadi pada saya di sinilah peranan persatuan industri dan juga agensi kerajaan seperti menyediakan bengkel, kita bagi panduan yang lebih praktikal dan juga sokongan teknikal. Jadi saya rasa jika semua ini dilakukan dengan betul, ESG dan juga isu pematuhan yang lain bukan sahaja boleh menjadi pemacu nilai dan reputasi nama kita, tapi dia boleh menarik pelanggan baru dan juga malah bakat pekerja dan bukan dilihat lagi sebagai beban kos semata-mata oleh PKS.
Dan kita nak melihat juga kepada beban ini, antara salah satu cara adalah mengadaptasi digital dan teknologi untuk kurangkan lagi antara beban-beban ini ataupun kurangkan lagi kerenah daripada segi pengurusan ataupun kecekapan operasi itu sendiri. Dan kalau kita lihat daripada dapatan menunjukkan lebih 30% PKS masih bergantung kepada proses manual dan manakala hanya 17% kita lihat bergantung kepada sistem pintar ataupun fully tech ini. Bagaimana Datuk menilai keupayaan ataupun inisiatif geran digital sedia ada ini? Adakah ia sudah cukup untuk pacu transformasi digital dalam kalangan PKS ini ataupun ada wujud lagi jurang-jurang yang perlu kita atasi daripada segi kesedaran, pendidikan dan kemahiran PKS itu sendiri? Bagaimana Datuk?
Ya, saya sebenarnya agak rusing apabila saya nampak hasil kajian kita menunjukkan lebih 30% PKS ini masih beroperasi secara manual. Walaupun kerajaan banyak memberi bantuan dan juga panduan untuk PKS kita beralih kepada digitalisasi dan AI. Bagi saya ini satu petunjuk bahawa walaupun insentif digital sedia ada, termasuk grant padanan digital oleh kerajaan, masih belum mencukupi untuk mencepatkan transformasi digital di kalangan PKS kita secara menyeluruh. Kenapa? Saya rasa pertama masih wujud jurang kesedaran di kalangan PKS kita. Ramai pemilik PKS kita, terutamanya mereka yang bersaiz mikro ataupun kecil, dia masih melihat digitalisasi ini sebagai satu kos tambahan dan bukannya satu pelaburan strategik. Keduanya saya rasa ada jurang kemahiran. Walaupun ialah geran itu tersedia, tapi jika kita tidak ada pekerja untuk menggunakan teknologi yang kita beli itu, grant itu sia-sia juga. Ketiga, saya rasa ada juga jurang pembiayaan. Walaupun kerajaan diberikan kita grant padanan sehingga RM5,000, bagi syarikat yang mahu beralih kepada operasi manual kepada contohnya sistem pintar, kosnya dia bukan setakat RM5,000, dia boleh mencecah puluhan ribu ringgit. Jadi ringkasnya saya rasa masalahnya bukan isu insentif ada tiada, cukup tak cukup, tapi insentif itu saya rasa dia perlu menangani jurang kesedaran, jurang kemahiran dan juga akses pembiayaan secara serentak. Kalau ketiga-tiga ini tidak ditangani, saya rasa transformasi digital PKS kita akan kekal perlahan seperti sekarang.
Dan kita kurang lagi daripada 2 minggu sebelum pembentangan Belanjawan 2026. Banyak harapan daripada pelbagai sektor dan kita nak memastikan setiap tahun belanjawan dibentangkan ini adalah betul-betul tulus dan memastikan setiap PKS di Malaysia ini mendapat manfaatnya. Namun kita lihat kebanyakan PKS seringkali tidak mendapat gambaran jelas tentang impak belanjawan terhadap sektor mereka sendiri. Jadi apakah antara saranan yang boleh Datuk berikan agar belanjawan kali ini dapat memperkenalkan mekanisme pemantauan yang lebih cekap, yang lebih efisien seperti portal data terbuka ataupun audit impak ekonomi khusus untuk PKS, ataupun apa yang boleh diharapkan oleh Datuk terhadap belanjawan seterusnya untuk lebih baik kepada semua PKS?
Saya rasa apa-apa juga inisiatif yang kita lancarkan melalui belanjawan ini, kita perlu wawakan supaya PKS kita faham dan tahu bagaimana belanjawan ini termasuk program dan inisiatif yang dikenalkan itu dapat membantu mereka secara dari mungkin dalam sektor mereka ataupun dari segi saiz syarikat mereka dan sebagainya. Ini tidak terhad kepada insentif secara cukai tapi juga insentif untuk memasuki industri baru dan sebagainya. Harapan kami untuk belanjawan 2026 sebenarnya mudah. Satu, kita kalau boleh kita mahu belanjawan ini bantu PKS kita bukan sahaja bertahan dalam keadaan ekonomi yang tidak menentu sekarang, tapi kalau boleh berkembang melalui akses kewangan yang lebih senang dan tidak setakat bergantung kepada kolateral yang sedia yang kita ada. Sebab sekarang ni kalau kita lihat institusi perbankan ini dia sebenarnya berdasarkan kepada collateral based financing. Jadi apa yang kita mahu adalah mungkin kita bertukar kepada revenue base dan sebagainya. Kedua, saya rasa kita juga boleh beri bantuan dari segi insentif untuk otomasi kecil dan yang penting insentif untuk memasuki pasaran lain seperti pasaran ASEAN untuk menangani isu tarif Amerika Syarikat dan juga kemasukan negara China ke dalam negara kita.
Baik, saya nak ribuan terima kasih kepada Datuk William Ng, merupakan Pengerusi Persatuan Perusahaan Kecil dan Sederhana Malaysia Sementa kerana bantu kami faham menjelang pembentangan belanjawan 2026 memberi tumpuan khusus kepada aspek PKS, bagaimana untuk kita tingkatkan lagi kesejahteraan mereka dan bagaimanakah belanjawan seterusnya bukan sahaja dapat meningkatkan daripada segi peruntukan yang lebih banyak tapi bagaimana untuk memastikan masa depan yang lebih baik, ekosistem yang lebih inklusif untuk setiap PKS yang ada di Malaysia. Dan setiap perkongsian ini akan kami rangkumkan dalam astroni.com dan di semua platform digital Astro AWANI. Dan kita akan teruskan dengan perkembangan seterusnya dengan kerajaan komited terhadap pengukuhan industri semikonduktor dalam pembentangan belanjawan 2026 pada 10 Oktober depan. Menteri Kewangan 2, Datuk Seri Anwar Amir Hamzah Azizan berkata, industri tersebut adalah penyumbang utama kepada ekonomi negara dengan lebih 40% daripada ekspor Malaysia datang daripada segmen elektrik dan elektronik E&E serta semikonduktor.
Tambahnya, kerajaan berusaha merancakkan industri dilihat penting pada masa akan datang.
Bawah kerangka ekonomi madani, semikonduktor sektor adalah satu sektor yang penting. Jadi dari segi Malaysia, kita nak meningkatkan kerumitan yang ada. Kerumitan tu bukan bermakna kita nak menyusahkan, tapi kita nak meningkatkan kompleksiti yang ada dalam industri ni. Kerana bila kompleksiti naik, ekosistem kita lebih meluas, peluang yang kita ada akan juga meningkat. Dan peluang pekerjaan untuk rakyat Malaysia juga akan berkembang dengan meningkat.
Sementara itu, mengenai cabaran tarif Amerika Syarikat terhadap industri semikonduktor, beliau menjelaskan kebanyakan pemain industri di Malaysia berasal daripada negara barat.
Kalau kita tengok pendekatan yang diadakan, dia tidak menekan sangat kepada pelaburan yang dibuat oleh negara-negara barat. Ya, kalau macam kita tengok dalam tarikh yang diperkenalkan oleh Amerika Syarikat, dia ada pengecualian yang diberikan kepada sektor, terutama kepada mereka yang telah melabur balik kepada Amerika Syarikat. So, kita rasa Malaysia adalah satu negara yang ada keistimewaannya, yang ada kerana cara kita punya ekosistem ni dibuat dalam bertahun-tahun yang kita buat ni.
Beliau berkata demikian pada sidang media selepas mempengerusikan program jelajah belanjawan 2026 Pulau Pinang di Batu Kawan pada Isnin.
Malaysia's digital economy is accelerating rapidly with over 1.2 billion payment transactions processed through PayNet in 2024 alone. As the backbone of the nation's payment infrastructure, from Do It Now QR to instant transfers, PayNet plays a central role in how Malaysians transact daily. Yet, as we move into a more AI-driven future, the term sovereign AI is gaining traction. For many, it still sounds abstract or technical. Let's begin by unpacking what sovereign AI really means and why it matters to everyday Malaysians. And for that, I welcome you. Our guest who's ready in the studio with me is Dr. Andrew Lim, Chief of Staff, PayNet. I want to say thank you, Dr. Andrew, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely, this is a very good initiative. We say that PayNet is Malaysia's national payment infrastructure, powering everything from Do It Now QR to instant transfer. Against that backdrop, people often hear AI, but maybe you can share more about sovereign AI. What is sovereign AI?
I think to make it very simple, AI sovereignty is really about ensuring trust and accountability. Now, think of it perhaps in a simpler term. If you have a secret, a personal secret, you want to tell it to your closest family and friends. Why? Because you trust them. I think that's one of the key things of sovereign AI. And sovereign AI does the same thing, essentially, but is talking about our nation's data, information, and infrastructure. I think those are the fundamental of sovereign AI itself. So how do we make sure that the things that we build, the infrastructure that we have, essentially is built by Malaysians for Malaysians under our purview, under our law? I think those are key things about AI sovereignty or sovereign AI.
All right, that's a bit of context of how can we understand sovereign AI. Maybe share with us some examples of how sovereign AI could make life easier for Malaysians, from payments to daily and to digital services.
I think taking continuation on some of the things that we see in the market. Imagine a makcik that is running a nasi lemak store, a micro SME. Now today with AI, the makcik actually have a business advisor, which is in whatever form there is, which is an AI model that she has in her phone or with her laptop. Now with this AI model itself that is trained on local context, the AI model then understands clearly about what does the business need for the makcik itself. And then through that, and through some of the open data, open banking initiative that we call PayNet Connect, which is what we are building with the Central Bank of Malaysia. Now, this not only consolidates everything, the account balances into one view, but essentially giving the makcik actionable, simple advice into expanding her business. Where should she focus on? Perhaps nasi lemak ayam goreng is the most sellable, best seller for her. And then she should prepare more of those. I think that's where sovereign AI would be able to also help MSME by giving them domestic insights, but with very globally trained data itself.
And data analysis is very important for us to make very strategic, informed decisions from all of these findings. And we can say that FinancialGPT is highlighted as a real-world example of sovereign AI. How will it actually help Malaysians in their day-to-day lives? For example, like saving money, managing budgets, and even putting some for investments.
So perhaps I'll continue on from that perspective itself, right? Now, maybe for the audience, what is sovereign AI? Sovereign AI is our version of sovereign large transaction model that we are building. So because a lot of models out there are large language model, but because you mentioned PayNet has processed transaction data, and that model is trained on transaction data that we have. Now, essentially, we need to make sure that those data and those informations are tailored to domestic context. Building on the MSME that is using AI and with the data that has been built. Now, with this, it would be able to transform all the informal sales data that the makcik has into a bank-ready record. They can actually use some of those information, submit, and now she has access to working capital to expand her business, number one. But that's only half of the story. Now, the second half of the story is with the model being built and trained on our transaction data, we are also able to then keep the makcik safe when she does her transaction. Now, why do we say so? Because one of the initiatives that the nation has embarked on and PayNet has built is the National Fraud Portal. That means every transaction is then being scored and making sure that not only the makcik, but everyone else that does digital payment and transacting digital payment is safe. And all those requires us to build on things, which is our transaction data, so that we understand Malaysians a little bit better.
And very important that you mentioned it's very safe. But what difference does it make if a model like FinancialGPT is built locally, trained on Malaysian language, culture and financial habit instead of relying on the AI designed for foreign markets?
I think the first key thing here is you really cannot outsource trust or context. I think that's the important thing that we need to understand. So if we look at the models out there today, it's really developed by and very concentrated to a few big techs around the world, the likes of the 5 big companies that is offering. Now, the difference is quite fundamental. A locally trained model just understands our values, our context, and is culturally in tune to the Malaysians, right? I think foreign model would then lack some of those contexts, right? You won't know what the businesses would want, what kind of advice you want to tailor it for those businesses. Now, having said that, I think I want to put also a cautionary note there. A lot of the models today are being trained on publicly available data. And all those information are overwhelmingly English. And I think that's the fact. And how do we then make sure that we have a very strong base of Bahasa Malaysia data set based on our national archive, based on our national history, but at the same time, making sure that AI is culturally intelligent, but is also able to then fit into the global innovation space where a lot of the models are in English. Yeah.
And probably my last question, Dr. Andre, looking ahead, how do you see the sovereign AI shaping Malaysia's financial future over the next 5 to probably more than 10 years? And what does success look like, especially for the Raya?
I think the success itself is not on the technology. I think it's more about the opportunities that it will create for Malaysians. I think a future for a very inclusive growth. I think that's where we are looking at what is the first thing that we want to do in terms of AI. I think number one is how do we then build local talents? And talent is one very important thing to do so. So that's why we have programs such as PayNet, where we want to train and nurture digital talents. Number two is now, how do we then ensure that in the next technological wave, Malaysia is not a follower. We are a leader. Pioneer and a regional leader and a global leader, right? So what does the success look like for the rakyat? It's a future where moving forward, our children can find good jobs, high quality jobs right here at home. For the businesses itself, I can grow my business globally at the global stage. I think that's a future that we all want to look forward towards, and it's a future that we should build together as Malaysians.
True, I agree with you. And again, I want to say thank you very much to Dr. Andre Lim, Chief of Staff PayNet. I'm sorry we don't have much time, but definitely I'm looking forward for our future discussion. And again, thank you, Doctor, for helping us understand FinancialGPT and sovereign AI, and how is the power of AI in the financial analysis. Again, I say thank you very much. And definitely all of our discussion here will be featured in AWANI.com across all social media platforms. Please stay tuned with us as Niaga Awani will be taking a short break and we'll be right back.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Cara kita mendapat berita kian berubah melalui media sosial maupun saluran digital yang lain serta kaca TV. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini.
Kita buat sesuatu yang berbeza.
Teraskan acuan verifikasi yang diamalkan supaya setiap fakta adalah sahih. Daripada analisis pelbagai sudut yang mendalam, laporan-laporan khas dan perbincangan yang membina negara. Inklusif, suara rakyat kami ajukan. keseimbangan persepsi kami pastikan. Kerana setiap cerita mempunyai impak yang tersendiri dan perlu dibawa dengan penelitian yang terperinci. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada. Saluran berita paling dipercayai di Malaysia.
Institutional interest in digital assets is no longer speculative, it's strategic. Globally, over $100 billion in assets are now allocated to crypto-related products, including ETFs and direct holdings by sovereign wealth funds. In the US alone, Bitcoin ETFs saw over $10 billion in inflows within their first quarter of launch. Meanwhile, pensions funds in countries like Canada and South Korea have begun integrating digital assets into their portfolios. Against this backdrop, Malaysia is at a crossroads, with regulatory reforms underway and Islamic finance considerations in play. The question is no longer if institutions will adopt digital assets, but how. Let's start by understanding what's driving the global momentum. I have an honor to welcome you, our guest, Aaron Tang, General Manager, APAC, Luno Malaysia. I want to say thank you very much, Aaron. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go straight into our discussion, especially financial within digital assets. We know that institution adoptions of digital assets is gaining big momentum today, from ETF to sovereign wealth funds. What's driving this strong demand from institutions, and how different is their approach compared to retail investors, especially, Aaron?
I think in today's landscape is, again, the search for returns. So, for example, companies, institutions may not have been satisfied with certain returns from certain assets they're already investing in. So they're looking at digital assets as a form of asset that could give them superior returns, not just investing purely into that, but as part of their portfolio. And I think to your second question around like what has changed from institutions, I think institutions, they are looking at long-term investing, and they're not just going to dive in like some individual investors into the latest and greatest thing. And I think digital assets have shown over time that they are here to stay, and they are a reputable asset class today.
We know that good return and long-term investing, that is one of the wide strong demands in the markets right now. And 5 years ago, digital assets were often dismissed as too volatile or speculative, as we call it, uncertain. What's changed in the global landscape?
I think regulatory acceptance or regulatory progress is one of the things. So as you mentioned earlier, Nina, there's so many progress in the US in terms of regulations. The government is much more accepting of digital assets versus, say, 5 years ago. And then I think in terms of time, the assets themselves being tested in the market, they've gone through some ups and down cycles. And then I think from a technology perspective, the assets themselves have also proven to be robust and secure. And, maybe 5-10 years ago, people were saying this is an unknown technology. But I think now most people are very, very understanding that these technologies are secure.
This technology is secure. That is very important. We know that this is very safe, and we have seen historically from time to time the ups and downs. And after all of that, we still have trust within that. From institutional investors, diversification, we know that is everything for them. And where the digital asset, we can say that realistically fit within the traditional institutional portfolio alongside equities, bonds, and even real estate.
Sure. I think today digital assets fall into what we call as alternative assets. So I think traditionally you have most of your portfolio, for example, in stocks or bonds, and then alternative assets may be, say, 10% of that portfolio or 5% depending. So it's going to be different for every institution. But I think even financial advisors today are asking the question, should your allocation be 1%, 5%, 10%, and so on?
And if you look at the sovereign wealth funds and even pension funds globally in this context, what lessons can Malaysia institutional investors draw from their strategies, the do's and don'ts that we can learn and even adopt?
I think the biggest lesson is that it is quite a process. I mean, if you look at the global landscape, it's not that a huge bunch of wealth or sovereign wealth funds have already invested into digital assets. There are some governments that have digital asset holdings. There are some pension funds that have digital asset holdings. But I think the learning is that it's going to be a process, right? It's not something that you jump into immediately. Take the time to learn about the technology and get comfortable. I think maybe sometime down the road, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, then people may feel comfortable making that decision.
Making that decision comfortable, especially.
Yes.
That's the main concern. But some critics argue that digital assets are still highly concentrated or based on high tech. How valid is that concern today?
I think historically, if you look at the correlation between, just look at Bitcoin, because it's the main digital asset, the most, the most reputable. Just look at the correlation between Bitcoin and say something like the Nasdaq, which is the tech index, right? I think historically the correlation is, say, 0.2, 0.3. It is somewhat correlated, but of course it's not as strongly correlated as, say, buying a Tesla stock itself, right? So I think over time we have seen the correlation go up and down, but I think market acceptance has told us that, you know, people are actually very, very interested in the diversification properties of Bitcoin and digital assets. And, you know, it may not be as established as gold today, but, you know, digital assets are very, very young. It could take some time before they get to the level of gold.
Trusting digital asset, maybe it's not easy. Is it safe for us to invest or bring in more money? But that's where the framework regulations come to make sure that it's very secure and making it safe and comfortable for them, for investors to make the decision. And Malaysia has taken steps to regulate digital assets under the Securities Commission framework, under the SC. And just recently, there have been proposals to ease crypto listing requirements and strengthen client assets safeguards. How far do these reforms go in giving institutions and the confidence to even enter the market? Simply, we can say that with this regulations framework progress for Malaysia's, how far do you think the confidence in the market right now?
I think actually the frameworks, the regulations themselves, they actually give everything that is required by an institutional investor to want to invest into digital assets today, right? So everything is already there. I think the only thing is a matter of time and perhaps what you mentioned, Nina, comfort, right? You know, the rules are there. You know, if you want to buy digital assets, you can just go to a crypto exchange, digital asset exchange, sign up, and then you'll be able to buy almost immediately. But I think the comfort, the acceptance, the internal sort of, support, that part is the one that we need some time for.
And finally, if you have an advice for a Malaysian pension fund or even sovereign wealth fund today, what is the first step should they take?
I think it's all about having that conversation early, starting early, because as we mentioned, you know, it takes some time. Internally, you need to get support. You need to get people understanding this new asset class. And yeah, you know, come talk to one of us in the digital asset industry. We'd love to help. It's again a very, very new industry, but I think it's something that's so super, super exciting. And, you know, with the regulatory and government support is the way of the future.
Again, Aaron, this is very insightful sharing. And we have reached to the end of our session again. And thank you for helping us understand the institutional adoption of digital assets across the generation, across the year. What are some of the challenges and what are the opportunities looking ahead for our future sectors? Again, I would say thank you very much to Aaron Tan, the General Manager, APAC, Dunia Malaysia, and hope to see you again.
Thank you, Nina.
All right, definitely all of our discussion here will be featured in AstroAwani.com and across all social media platforms. And that's it from me, Nina Rozman, and I'll be passing to my colleague Ibrahim Sani, who'll be taking over right after this.
Ada yang perdebatan bahawa GST perlu dikembalikan semula kerana ada yang mempertikaikan bahawa SST itu tidak efektif.
Isu buruh kanak-kanak bukan sahaja dalam bentuk fizikal tetapi juga bentuk moden yang lebih licik dan juga terselindung.
Kita tengok buruh kanak-kanak dan ada juga buruh paksa kanak-kanak.
Kumpulan FB dikenali sebagai grup budak-budak sekolah rendah yang didakwa menyebarkan gambar remaja perempuan tidak senonoh telah pun ditutup.
Welcome to The Economy. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. Today, we look at urban development and trying to see how this ties up with our 13th Malaysia Plan. Very recently, a few months ago, we saw the launch of the Kuala Lumpur Development Plan 2040, or the Plan Tempatan Kuala Lumpur 2040. It was launched by the Federal Minister as well as fellow dignitaries within the ambit of the Urban Landscape Development Project. In this conversation today, I have with me the Honourable Mayor of Kuala Lumpur, Datuk Sri Maimunah Muhammad Sharif. Datuk Sri, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. Yeah. The idea here is to see how the TPKL 2040 is going to tie up with the RMK 13th. That is going to be kicking off 1st January soon. And we also understand that there's a lot of items that is within the transformation plan that we saw being launched very recently. Could you describe to us how important this type of program is when it comes to urban development, and how we can see Kuala Lumpur to be the most livable city in ASEAN in the years to come?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. And let me put the local plan of Kuala Lumpur 2042 into three perspectives. The first one is that in Malaysia, we have a very good planning system. Started with the RMK 13 or RMK 12, and then trickled down to the National Spatial Plan. Then we have National Urbanization Plan, National Industrial Plan, and then at the Kuala Lumpur level, we have Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan, and then trickle it down into the Kuala Lumpur Local Plan. Kuala Lumpur Local Plan is the lot-to-lot basis. And I would like to put forward here is that Plan Tempatan Kuala Lumpur 2040 is not a DBKL plan per se. It is our plan. It is warga kota, I mean the people were living in Kuala Lumpur's plan, and also the investors' plan. So meaning that this local plan is also created, you can see it as the guidance to guide development with all the principles like sustainable, resilient, leaving no one behind, city for all, and taking care of climate change. And at the same time, it's also a planning control, meaning that the do's and the don'ts. So we have around 176,000 plus lots, land lots in Kuala Lumpur, which is already identified what can be done, how much can you do, what is the density, what is the plot ratio. If the investors would like to come and invest in Kuala Lumpur, there's a ready plan. They can, if they want to buy a land, they know that this is the land, zone for residential, and the next door is zone for residential. It won't be, never be industry next to their development. So meaning that this is also a guide and also a control for development. It's very much linked to the RM13 and all the other national plans. So it's like translation of the national policy into the local level at the Kuala Lumpur level.
But because of that, who owns where's the ownership then? If it's not, say, for instance, the DBKL plan, is it at the Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Urban Development, or Ministry of Federal Territories? Somebody must own this mega plan.
Yeah, this local plan is, of course, developed or formulated by DBKL. But to me, it's owned by everybody, meaning that we are the custodian. We are the one whom that is any developer of anybody would like to submit development in Kuala Lumpur, they have to go through the process. We are the one who are the custodian, and we also to make a decision whether the plan or any new proposal for development can be approved or not. So meaning that in this case that PTKL 2040 is also custodian. We are the custodian. We have to make sure that we follow, because we are the local authority which approve or decline or reject any development or any proposal in the city. But the plan is for everybody. Let's say if you have a piece of land in Kuala Lumpur, you have to follow the zoning, the density, the plot ratio, whatever is translated or formulated in the plan. Because when we prepare the plan, we have gone through public participation. We have gone through a process in 2019. Go through the process, if I'm not mistaken, around 53 public engagement. We received 28,000 inputs from the public. So this is our plan. This is people's plan. But the custodian, the plan, of course, is belong to the PKL. We are the custodian, but actually to me, this is investment plan. Let's say if anyone who would like to go out of Malaysia to maybe for the business trip, please bring the local plan, because this is the plan, the D plan that when any investors, anybody who would like to invest in Kuala Lumpur, they have to follow this plan as a guidance, and I say that is in a way that is to guide them, and also to as a plan to guide development, and also to control development.
Clearly, you are the woman of the hour. If anybody is to execute such a plan as this, it would be someone of your caliber. You were the executive director of UN Habitat. That was the last time we spoke together on air.
Right.
But a lot has moved on since. You were the mayor of Penang. Maybe a little bit of a test drive of what is to come, which is Kuala Lumpur. And you can benchmark the kind of the local plans that you are currently executing against that of many other cities around the world that you've seen. And with KL, there are a lot of uniqueness and challenges that is salient towards this city as opposed to other cities. But there are also many other similarities that KL has with other cities. In fact, when we talk about urban development plan, we talk about zoning laws and the like, these issues are seen in other cities as well. Where do you see the challenges lie when it comes to executing a plan, a long-term plan as this, as opposed to, you know, the short-term measures and trying to you know, maneuver the quick wins? Where is the I guess pitfalls that you're very concerned about, that you need to navigate very clearly and perhaps even communicate these kind of challenges to your stakeholders?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So that when I was in the UN, I have the opportunity to travel to a few cities, and in many of the capital cities in the world, they are also facing the same challenges and the same, more or less the same opportunities as Kuala Lumpur. I'm not from Kuala Lumpur, but after 1 year here, I realized that all the challenges and all the opportunities is common. For example, like if you look at Kuala Lumpur, meaning that is what is actually that in Kuala Lumpur we have the local plan, as you said, but this local plan we have gone through to many ministry. The ministry, all the Ministry of Environment, Transport was involved in the preparation, and then it's also all the NGOs and all the developers and all that involved in the preparation. So there are in the plan, there are areas where the Ministry of Transport, for example, they have to take up at the of course it's 2040, but they have to take up maybe the short term, the medium term, and the long term. Like for example, for the BKL, for example, we also, you can see from the plan that the things that under us, for example, like under our jurisdiction, for example, like in public spaces, we have our parks, and we are in control of our parks, and we are also in control of the public areas. So for example, there is mentioned there, by 2040, we hope to get, each of us will have 20 square meters of public spaces. So we need 4,700 hectares. And then from there, we are also looking into how can we walk within the Kuala Lumpur, seamless connectivity, walking like in other cities, like in New York, or like in Paris, or in London for that matter. So that is within our local government, within Kuala Lumpur, within the BKL. So what we did is that we have the Green Connector program, and for the 2025 and 2026, we look at the local plan and we extract what can we do within the short time. That's why we came up with 5 focus: plan-led development, and then in terms of inclusive community, green and clean and green, and another one is on the heritage, and the 5th one is on the governance. And we have 15 outcomes for 25 and 26. And now we are preparing for the budget 2026. So we are already, we use the local plan as a base. Where can we as a local government, as a DPKL, can implement. We extract it, for example, like public spaces, housing, affordable housing. We have the council housing, and also the Lestari Niaga. I mean, for the affordable hawkers complex that we are within us, and also for the pavement and for smart city, we are also involved in the using AI innovations and all that. So each of us actually, if you look at the plan, you can extract actually your under each ministry and each department jurisdiction, and you can plan for the 5-year plan or for the yearly plan. So I think it's very, very clear because the local plan is the implementation plan.
Sorry, I just need to go back to the statement that you said. You're not from Kuala Lumpur. I think many of, I don't know the numbers, but I think 90% of Kuala Lumpur dwellers are not from Kuala Lumpur.
Yes,
we're from everywhere in Malaysia.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that big cities around the world also have that kind of demography, but I think Kuala Lumpur has the most because of our I would call it mid-range distance from other big cities in Semenanjung at least. And with the rise of East Malaysians coming over to find work and job opportunities here, clearly Kuala Lumpur is the melting pot of all this. And when you say that all these ministries are you know, they can take a slice of their own jurisdiction and carry out their own yearly plan accordingly, your task of ensuring that each and every single jurisdiction, be it ministry or be it private companies who want to develop, whatever it is the stakeholders can be, it becomes monumentally important for you to keep track of what they take, and also, of course, and when I say take, keep track of what they want to execute according to the plan, and also perhaps nudge them accordingly to keep track according to the plan. And seeing that the Prime Minister is going to announce the budget in just a few weeks from now, I would assume much of the 2026 budget have been discussed and debated and everything is final at this point in time. Are you comfortable with the kind of conversations that you've had with many of these stakeholders in executing the plan on a year-to-year basis? So, for instance, for 2026, are you happy with the kind of things that the stakeholders that you are talking to and working with, are they at least going according to the plan, so to speak?
Yeah. What is formulated in the local plan actually is their proposal. Is the ministry, for example, like look at Ministry of Transport. They want to construct this road, or monorail MRT, so MR3. So actually, what is translated or formulated in the local plan in terms of the proposal map and the strategy actually is input from them, because we don't know their proposal. So when we prepare the local plan, we have a task force. We discuss with them, what do you want to include in the local plan up to 2040? Yeah. Actually, it's their input. So it's their role to implement the plan according to the input that they give it to us, because that proposal map or the local plan is a gazetted document.
Yeah.
If you want to change, we have to go through all the process again. So meaning that, to me,
it's not just a strategic plan.
It's not a strategic plan.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's gazetted as a law.
Because that is the third tier of the plan in terms of the planning system.
Yeah.
As I mentioned just now, because we have a very good planning system in a way that we have the national spatial plan, the whole country, trickle down to structure plan only for Kuala Lumpur. Or maybe if other state, they have a Selangor such a plan. We have Kuala Lumpur such a plan. And then we have the local plan. We map up every lot in the Kuala Lumpur. We have the zoning. We have the guideline. We know the do's and the don'ts. So to me, it's their duty, because this is their input, for them to implement the plan. Because the public are involved. Public are looking, hey, that time you say that you want to do this road, and you told us you want to do this connecting road for next 3 years. So make sure that you use that plan to ask for the budget for maybe one road, maybe it can be 3-4 years. So they started now. So I think this is, for example, that the many of the construction of road, and also for JPS, they want to deepen this river, they want to do this. So this is very stipulated very clearly in the proposal plan of the local plan in Kuala Lumpur. That's why from the beginning I said that this is not only the BKL plan, this is for everybody's plan. Even the developer, they have a piece of land. They have a chance last time during the public engagement. We plan to put it, let's say, plot ratio of 2. They have a chance to object. Oh, I don't want 2. I want 1 or I want 5. Then we have the jatan kuasa, the need to look into that. Yeah. The committee to look into that. So this is not only for the BKL, it's also for developer to when they want to submit the plan, they have to follow. And also for the government, where they want to apply for the budget to 2026, 2027, to me, this is their plan. They have to follow this plan. So it's not so much that we have to enforce upon them, because when they want to develop, they want to construct the road, they have to go through us. Yeah. Because we are the one under the law is the authority to give the planning approval. Yeah. So if they would like to develop the road, suddenly it's not in the plan. Yeah. It's very difficult to get it approved unless you change the plan. And
conversely, if it's well within the plan, it should be straightforward.
It should be straightforward. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, we'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more with the Mayor of Kuala Lumpur to talk about a little bit more about tourism sector and how this falls into the 13th Malaysia Plan. We'll be right back after these messages.
Buli di sekolah. Isu ini bukan perkara baru.
Buli tertakluk kepada perbuatan agresif secara fizikal.
Apa sebenarnya Jurubu punca utama yang menyumbang kepada masalah ini serta kesannya kepada kesihatan kita?
Mereka akan mengalami iritasi kepada mata. Selain itu, iritasi kepada saluran pernafasan.
Thanks for staying on with us. I have with me the Mayor of Kuala Lumpur. Okay, without much ado, I want to move on to the second part of the conversation in terms of tourism of Kuala Lumpur. Synonymous with the name of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur is the only city that many of the foreigners would know. I would like to argue that there was a particular study that was done by Travelpedia that when it comes to brand recognition, Kuala Lumpur is much more known than the name of Malaysia. This is the bizarre thing about the branding of Kuala Lumpur. And you know, I would like to argue, you know, when it comes to sports, for instance, we have so many cities in Malaysia that have, you know, better sports brand recognition to their city as opposed to Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur FC, for instance, while good in its own right, is not like, say, for instance, JDT. When we talk about the Kuala Lumpur Literary Festival, it's there, but it's not as big as the Georgetown Literary Festival. I can go on with all this branding and name recognition. And I'm sure this is something at the back of your mind, being the Mayor of Penang, and trying to see what works, what doesn't work, what could be the opportunities, and so on. And then, of course, KL as a tourism center as well. Unmistakable, greatest malls, if not in Southeast Asia, perhaps in Asia altogether, no problems there. We've seen all the skyscrapers from, you know, 118 to TRX, and of course, the one and only KLCC. How do you see and transition from what we have to what we could be? And is this within that plan of the PT 2040?
Yeah, tourism is one of the areas I think that is need to be communicated well. As you know, yes, it's already known that where you're going to Kuala Lumpur, but how can we retain the tourists to stay longer in Kuala Lumpur? What can they do in Kuala Lumpur? That is also, as you said, that is one of, and spend. Yeah. And stay and spend. So that is also a question. When I came in last year as a mayor of Kuala Lumpur, then I asked my colleagues, said that what is nice of Kuala Lumpur? Because when I was small, I said I came here, then it's Dataran Merdeka, then I went to Benteng for food. You know, that reminds me, you know. And then I said that I went to museum and all those places, Dataran Merdeka. So I said that what is actually that? Give me 3 things why people should visit Kuala Lumpur. So actually, the answer, I gather much of the answer when last month when I had the Mayors ASEAN Mayors Forum. Yeah. And ASEAN Mayors and Governors Forum, 3 in 1. Then I and also ASEAN Governors and Mayors Capital City meeting, which I chair. And I asked the mayors who came, around 300 mayors came to Kuala Lumpur. I said that, do you like Kuala Lumpur? I said, yes, it's beautiful. What do you like about Kuala Lumpur? He said, Kuala Lumpur is clean and green. Okay. Then I said, clean and green? I said, yes, your city is very clean and it's very green. sometimes when we stay here, we take things for granted. I said, why you say it's green? Oh, I went to Botanical Garden, then I walked down to Dataran Merdeka, then I went to Titi Wangsa, I went to Tugu, said that it's very green compared to other cities.
Yeah.
So I think there is a plus point that we need, and also it said it's a lot of heritage, the diversity, the culture, the people. And they said that, oh, I went to Jalan Alo to eat, and then I went to shopping. So you have it all. You said that. You have it all. You have the green, you have the food, you have the culture. And he said that the city is clean and the people is very friendly. So I think this is also thing that we need to really make it into a package. And because I think that's the reason why the Yang Amat Berhormat Prime Minister launched the Warisan Kuala Lumpur, Kuala Lumpur Heritage in June this year, and around 20 square kilometer is just next to our areas, and that's why we spend some money on under Khazanah on the Bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad, Kalkosa, you know, and the Sri Negara, and we on our side on the Dataran Merdeka, and also the parking and the facilities. So I think tourism, one of the areas that instead of rather than just tourism to come here and eat, but it's also medical tourism, education tourism, because medical, I think that people come here because our medical facilities is very good.
You know, the strange thing about this,
education, yes,
is that I have some friends from Indonesia. They equate Penang as the medical tourism.
Yes.
I don't know why or how.
Yes.
And you know, the two things that I don't commonly hear from Malaysians.
Yeah.
Penang as a medical hub and Kuala Lumpur as seen as green. Even though you're right, I completely agree, we take things for granted. When you said that, I was trying to benchmark, say for instance, Bangkok and Manila and Jakarta. Okay lah, I wouldn't say Singapore. But yeah, of course, we're greener than these big metropolitan cities. Because of that, do you see it as important for that public-private partnership to come in place, and the relationship, say for instance, when it comes to medical tourism, the Ministry of Health also has to play a major role in this? Clearly, these are all monumental tasks, and to a certain degree, there's only so much that DBKL can do, but the baton has to be carried by other players as well.
Exactly. That's why I introduced the principle of 4P. Public, private, people partnership. Public is us. Public is the ministry. Private is private sector. We need to work with the private sector and the people. Without the people's participation or engagement, even though we have the money, we have the private sector, sometimes if you don't like it, they don't like it. So I think the 4P principle, public, private, people partnership is very, very important in Kuala Lumpur. Because as you said correctly, there are certain things that only we can do as the DBKL. So, but we need to galvanize, we need to encourage the private sector to work together with us. That's why I first thing that I came here to Kuala Lumpur, then I asked my colleagues that, get me the president of Malay Chamber of Commerce, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Do you have it? Oh, Datuk Seri, let me check. So I think it's not ready. So I already met all the Chamber of Commerce in one. I already met all the real estate. I already met the professional bodies. And I even have a breakfast, mayors with the ambassadors of all the ambassadors who reside here together with Invest Kuala Lumpur. So how can we work together with them? That's why we introduced the adoption project, meaning that the private sector adopt our public spaces, the private sector adopt our street, the private sector adopt our back lane, so that they are together. We are going to do like for Bukit Bintang, you know, in terms of lightings for the, and we are also, you see that it's the big mural along on the way. That is all public, private, and we are also involved with the community on the urban farming, the food bank, the cleanliness.
You're giving me an impression that you're a mayor in a hurry, and you're a mayor that is having a very insatiable appetite to make things work. And for the first time ever, I'm telling you now, I believe that this is the most positive sign that I'm getting from a mayor. I've interviewed 2 mayors, your predecessors. They have not the slightest urgency in their tone. But with you, it seems like all the people need to catch up with you. Are they in the same journey with you, or do you feel that they can hurry up along as well?
Yes, they give me the full support, especially my people, the DBKL staff. I need to gain their trust. I need to lead. I need to show them the way. So I think that I am well. Thanks God, Alhamdulillah, that I received the very good cooperation from my own people. I have 9,400 staff. You see, there's a lot of things that can be done.
I'm sorry. Wow. Okay.
9,400.
I didn't think it was that big.
Yes, and then I recently created one body called SPEAD, SPEAD, Surveyors, Planners, Engineers, Architects, Developers. Because with them, I said that let us discuss how can we implement the local plan. This is your local plan. How can we implement the local plan? Let's work together. Then I also recently, yesterday, I went for the KLCCC Sustainable September. Then I call upon them, please, can all you in the KLCC, you are here, you are the CEO of all these big, can you work together with me? I said that I have a project called Green Connector. I want to connect, I said, TRX with 118, with KLCC, and also with the Data America, seamless, that you can walk, you can stroll your baby stroller, you can walk without any interruption, and nice. They said, yes, let's do it. Then next week I'm calling for a meeting. And I have also meeting with UOB CEO. I said, let's do something in front of our office. Your headquarters is
They're just here behind us.
Yes, and it's beautiful office. Then Miss Ang Wewe said, let's do it. And I already formed a task force. So we are now doing something. So I said that, yes, I am the mayor in the hari because I think that I have not enough time. I don't have time.
I'm sorry. I have to also ask this question, Datuk Sri. Last week you issued a statement to support DBKL being open, transparent, having high integrity.
Yes.
There was a case, or currently still happening, where the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission has taken action against very senior people inside DBKL. And while there are noises out there, I take it as good because this is exactly what we need. Right? You can't get the things done if your own situation and your own people are having some issues as well. And of course, in the 5 pillars that you spoke of just now, you spoke about governance being the key.
Yes.
So, corruption is one thing, or anti-corruption, and then trying to get the processes done to optimize operational efficiency is another. Then there is also legitimacy and mandate. Now, this is outside of your ambit. When it comes to local council elections or electoral mayor systems and the like, it is well within your powers. But what do you see, or what would you like to share when it comes to these kind of topics that some are within your area of concern, some is outside? What's your general statement when it comes to these governance issues?
To me, is in order for any organization to excel, there are at least 3 things. One is leadership. Second is capacity. Capacity, it can be funding, it can be expertise. The third is governance. So when you talk about governance here, you talk about integrity. I always mention, integrity is not only corruption. Integrity, you come to the office, you do what you're supposed to do according to the SOP and according to the rules and the regulation. If you have you come and punch card at 8 o'clock, you have to come at 8 o'clock. If you have to do the work from 8 to 5 and there's a break 1 hour for lunch, do that. Because I used to tell them, if let's say your pay is 5,000 a month, divided by 30 days, how much is it? Divided by 24 hours, how much it is that you, the people, I mean the people's money, pay you per hour, per second, per minute. When you, at the end of the day, you think back, did I worth that much? Did I do something good? So I think this integrity is very, very important. Of course, corruption is one of it, but through that we can see in terms of good governance, we have to look into the very clear SOP, very clear rules and regulation. That's why I'm looking at all the SOP, and also we have a retreat, our administration retreat, looking at the SOP, looking at the regulation, and how can we strengthen, how can we plug the loophole if there is any, because some of them are very old garis panduan or guidelines and all that. So I think to me it's like talking to them, and we also have, we are very lucky because we have the integrity department in the BKS. Not many local government have the integrity department. And,
is it manned by MHC
the head
folks?
is head by the SPRM officer.
Yeah.
So I think we try our best. So, but when you mentioned about what things happen, that's why I said that I give full cooperation to SPRM for anything that they found in our office.
And you're very open about it.
Very open about it. I'm very open about it. In fact, during my first day, on the 15th of August last year, on the day itself, then I came in, 6 of the BKL staff was charged in court of corruption. 6 of them on the day, on the very day.
Talk about an inaugurating moment for you entering the office.
Yes, and then one question asked by the reporter, I said that, what is your stand on corruption? I don't know, because I'm only the first day. I don't know. So I said that zero tolerance. So,
but what about local council election, Datuk Seri?
Local council election, I think, for example, in the BKL, we have the Capital Act. If you want a local election, they have a long process. They have to amend the act.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the process, but the notion of it, the idea of it.
The idea of it, I think, is in many cities. In many cities, I've spoken to few cities who have the local election. There are pro and con. The first, he said that, okay, you have an election, and then people elect the mayors, and then the mayors are the choice of the people. But when on the other side, this is real story. He said that mayor, at that time I was in executive director UN Habitat when I asked. I said that executive director, I have to sell my house, I have to sell my car in order for me to have certain amount of funding, political funding, to be the mayor, to be into the system, to be elected, to be in the system of the election as a mayor. So meaning that there are also cases that I mean, it's a lot of what they call it funding, and when come to the election, so there are also sometimes that in when I was in the UN, I was wondering why the member states sometimes they reluctant to deal together with the local government. Because the local government is their opposition. Because, you see, opposition to the national.
Got it. I understand.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if it is let's say the government, if it is appointed, the national government have 5 years. Say they appoint the people whom they think that they can work with, they can promote, implement their policy, something
like the Labour government in the UK. The city is run by, say, the Labour, but the National is a Tory party, and therein lies the issue. But all in all, do you support electoral mayorship, or you think that Malaysia needs to mature into it later?
To me, I have the opportunity to work in the UN and looking at that. I think that Malaysia, the present system, to me, works well. It works well. And the only thing is that we need to implement what we preach, what we say.
Yeah, and PTKL 2040 is one of the testament of that.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go for one short break. When we come back, we'll discuss about the main issue right now about Kuala Lumpur, which is trying to make this into a financial hub of the region. We'll be right back after these messages.
Daulat Tuanku.
Thanks for staying on with us. We're in this extended interview with the Mayor of Kuala Lumpur. The financial district of Kuala Lumpur is going to be the big topic of the day. Some of the names, some of the parties that you spoke of are very critical, including private banks, including the financial hubs that we have right now, TRX for instance, and many more. Do you see Kuala Lumpur, talent is something of my ambit in my current workplace at the Ministry of Economy. That is completely understandable. But in terms of the infra and the facilities that is being provided, do you think that Kuala Lumpur has what it takes? In fact, what would be the additional factor that needs to be brought into place and within the powers of, say, for instance, DBKL and local government to make sure that Kuala Lumpur continues to be the unassailable champion of the financial services hub for this region and perhaps even super scale what Singapore is trying to do right now? Because I think that will be the main competitor for us in this topic.
Yeah. I think from what I see that Kuala Lumpur have all the infrastructure to be the financial hub of financial sector compared to other cities. I think we have the infrastructure, we have the talent. I think what we need is that how can we galvanize, how can we improve further in terms of the infrastructure and also the talent that we have. Because it's in Kuala Lumpur, let's say you compare to other cities like in New York or in Singapore. So I think you look around, when I asked the same question to the mayors during the ASEAN Mayors Forum, they said that you have everything. So what we really need is that we really need to make it work. For example, we have the TRX 118, KLCC, and all the headquarters of bank, all the data center are here. So I think we are in the right. And for DBKL, our duty is that when these investors coming in, for example, the investor for the data center coming in, our duty is that how can we provide the enabling environment?
Yeah.
What enabling environment here is that how can they invest here fast? How can the decision of the planning approval can make it fast? Because for a business, every second, every day counts.
Yeah.
So the fast approval, that's why we embark into the One-Stop Center 3.0, OAC online, meaning that anywhere in the world, you don't need to come to DBKL to submit your planning application if you want to have to develop a data center here. You can be in New York. As long as you have internet, you can submit your plan and we can process. And we make it very clear that if all comply, we will do it in short time. So I think that is the enabling factor, approval. At the same time, it's also the infrastructure. And at the same time, we also become the facilitator. I used to tell my colleague, don't be a frustrator. We have to be a facilitator so that they can facilitate if they need.
I'm sorry, but DBKL has been a source of frustration for me at times.
Please.
Yeah,
I hope that you can see the changes
definitely.
Yes.
And I would like to point out, right, it's been a year since you took office. Looking back these past 12 months, are you happy with your own progress? I'm asking you to self-criticize yourself right now. I think from an outsider, not many would have something poor to say about what your performance has been for the past year. But you yourself, at your own standard, because just to remind everyone, Datuk Sri Maimunah is the first Malaysian to be elevated to the Executive Director Office.
The first Asia.
The first Asia, thank you. Let alone woman. And every step of the way, you're always trailblazing. The first woman, the first Malaysian, the first woman, the first Malaysian, everywhere we go. And some of my colleagues from AWANI went to, I can't pronounce the word, in Poland.
Katowice.
Katowice, yes. And they were all at awe with how you held your ground there. And they tell me about it, right? Back in Bukit Jalil. And clearly you would be your own harshest critic, I would argue. And when the Prime Minister and the government appointed you as the Mayor of KL, everybody thought that you were overqualified for the job, I suppose, because of your pedigree. But looking back after 1 year, are you happy with yourself?
Yes, I'm happy within the environment that I am in. When I came in, I have my plan. But Allah is a big planner. On the third day I was here, banjir, flooding. It's the first test. On the fifth day, sinkhole. I have my plan.
Oh,
yes.
That was on the fifth day?
On the fifth day. On the first week, as a mayor, a sinkhole. I have my plan. I have a plan, what I want to do within the first week, second week, third week. It's very beautiful plan before I step into the DBKL on the 15th of August. But Allah said, okay, third you have to handle with the flood. On the 5th you have to handle with the sinkhole. But looking back within all this, I said the environment that I'm facing and the situation, I'm happy. I'm happy with what I achieved, but I hope I can achieve more. But of course, there is also a limitation, and sometimes during the I would like to do more, but at the same time, when I was in the 2024, I'm implementing the budget which is approved by the previous mayor. I'm following through. But 2025. I have my own way of dealing with the budget. Even that 2025, when I came in, is already halfway, the discussion of the budget. But 2026, next year will be my own. This year will be my own.
And on top of that, it's the RMK13 as well.
Yes, RMK13. So I think within this limitation, within the environment, I'm quite happy with what I achieved. For example, like when you talk about the Prime Minister talking about Lestari Niaga. I managed to complete all those projects which was delayed, and then now people are already moved in. Talking about the Rumah Madani, and also managed to clear up all the backlog, and now is the Rumah Madani is under construction. In some will be completed end of this year, some next year, and also in terms of the backlog of the development control. When I came in, it was around 1,738 plans. Still, there is no decision. I managed to clear it up in December 2024. So I think that is, and also I came up with the five focus and very focused and 15 outcomes. Very focused and with all the KPI. So I hope that by end of this year, I can get all the result. And every 3 months, I send my report to the Prime Minister, quarterly report. The first report. Now I just send between May to July reports to him. Then I can share it with you. And what I'm very happy is that in terms of the funding, in terms of the financial situation, all the while 2022, 2023 all deficit. In 2024 when we close the financial statement, we are in the surplus of around 27 million. So meaning that is a
surplus of 27
surplus 27 million. All before that is all deficit. 2022 deficit, 2023 deficit.
So this is what I'm saying. You might be overqualified for the job. I mean, I'm saying in a good way. You know what I mean? But the correlation and the interrelationship between the Prime Minister and the Mayor of KL, that's one thing, that's one role. Then there's also the Federal Territories Minister. I'm asking on behalf of Malaysians right now, it's trying to understand the dichotomy between the roles and functions of all these ministerial powers. Where does the Federal Territories Minister sit in terms of the governance element and reporting element of the City Hall of Kuala Lumpur?
I think the where the Minister of Federal Territories sit is very clear in the Act. In the Capital Act, because he's the minister, he is looking at the policy. And another one of the section, I cannot remember, I think section 13, where they said that the minister of the federal territory, they handle the policy level, and there is also that they can give instruction to the mayor, and the mayor have to implement it. So I think this is very clear where is the
and it's not just the mayor of Kuala Lumpur, it's the mayor of federal territory, so PJ, Putrajaya, as well as Labuan.
And Labuan and Putrajaya. It's very clear in the Capital Act. Of course, for Putrajaya, they have their own act, but as far as DBKL, it's very clear, stipulated very clearly.
Okay, final question to you, Datuk Sri, is the perennial problems of flood mitigation. You were talking about that as well earlier on, environment issues and many more. I know these problems, these environmental issues and making Kuala Lumpur green and all this is an ongoing story. but of all the things that you have on your CV, I trust you the most because of UN Habitat. Are we too far away from getting Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur free of floods, or do you feel that we're nearly there in terms of flood mitigating in Kuala Lumpur?
On flood mitigation, when I came in, there are around 30 flood hotspot. End of 2024, left 20.
Okay.
And I told my colleague, by end of 2025, I want it to reduce into 10.
Okay.
By next year, maybe reduce more. So I'm not sure, maybe you are out there, maybe you can see that it's last time when we heavy rain, they were always flooding. But now, it's not me who said that, but it's the people who came to see me, and also through social media, they said that even now it's heavy rain, we seldom see flooding, very, very heavy flooding. For example, like last time in October, 28th October last year, I was in my office, heavy rain. At that time, Parliament, they cannot go into the Parliament. But now, heavy rain, you can go there. So meaning that I'm thankful to the national government, the federal government, they gave me 80 million for the flood mitigation. 20 million last year, 2024, and 60 million in 2025. And we're implementing it. Flood mitigation, we're also doing, working together with SW Corp and Alam Flora, working together with JPS, which I said the integrated approach, to see that how can we reduce the flooding in Kuala Lumpur. And I'm very, very confident that with all this flood mitigation, not only by the BKL, by SW Corp, by cleaning up the river, and also by JPS deepening the need, and by putting up the flood wall and all that, I believe that we can reduce the occurrence of flooding in Kuala Lumpur. And
Does all these things that we discussed are seen or discussed in the Urban Renewal Act, the one that was postponed in the Parliament? And are you involved in that conversation?
I involved at the later stage because it was discussed much earlier before I joined DBKL. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Datuk Sri, for taking the time to speak with us. We discussed a lot of issues.
Thank you.
But we would like to have you again maybe next year to talk about the progress of PPKL.
Yes.
If you want to learn more about the work of Datuk Sri Maimunah, there's a lot of conversations that can be found on her on our site at astro.com. You can also find out more about the work of DBKL also on our site, especially with the upcoming ASEAN summit that's going to happen very soon. But for now, we take a break on this and continue on with the following programs. Catch you in the next one.